What is up? Welcome to another episode of Build with the CEO. My name is Trevor, your resident CEO of Coach Catalyst, and I'm excited to be here. It's Tuesday, it's 12 o'clock, and that means we're getting after it. We're going to learn a little bit, and we're going to help you make your business better today. Before I get into the meat and potatoes of today, there's a lot of things, a lot of things that we've launched lately. Actually, first, before we can get into that, we got a dog. My family got a dog. And so if you've got any dog tricks, if you've got any dog trainer type stuff, send it my way. It is interesting. I've got two smallish kids, and now we add a dog to the mix. Why is a good question, but for another day. All right. So at Coach Catalyst, we've launched a lot of things recently. Okay. And I just want to make sure you're aware of everything because you got a lot of everybody's got a lot going on. So you may not read the emails, you may not catch them all. So we've got a few things that I want to just make sure you're aware of, and they should be in the description to this video, both on YouTube and on Facebook. But number one, we launched the end of last month, the 28-day macro guide. So it's actually a five-day guide as well. So if you're a macro coach and need some content around macros and intro to macros, if you're running it with clients, we have a 5-day macro guide, which then leads well into the 28-day I think it's called Macro Mastery, or something like that. Inside of Coach Catalyst, it's all built out, ready to rock and roll. Just put your flair on it, and you're good. So there's that piece. The second thing that we just launched at the beginning of this month was the fall marketing guide. So this month at Coach Catalyst is all about prepping for the fall. So starting to get a plan in place for the fall, so that when August and September come around, you can really start executing all the way through, and you can build your business, you can develop your pipeline, and start really prepping again for the new year rush as well. And so the fall marketing guide was just launched. You can grab the link inside of the comments. And that is a really cool guide that we put together to help you be successful and start to visualize your entire fall. So you can have a lot of success with your marketing, because we know that's an issue for a lot of coaches. I got a list of stuff here, so I'll go to the next one. We have officially the SuperCoach CRM waitlist is open. At the end of July, we are going to be opening up SuperCoach CRM, which is our front end of marketing system, to bring on some new clients to help with that. You have all of our done for you material, tons of different programs. Pretty much every program inside of the fall marketing guide has complete funnels, landing pages, all of that kind of stuff built out, and it corresponds with a lot of the programs inside of Coach Catalyst. Most of the major programs in Coach Catalyst have a corresponding funnel that goes along with it. And then you have your full-blown CRM, text message marketing, email marketing, funnels, automations, all of that fun stuff, scheduler, that kind of thing. So that's going to be going, and we have a wait list, and there's going to be special things for the wait list. So people that come in the wait list will get a webinar a week early, specific for them. If they do decide it's a good fit for them and they want to move forward, they will get to be part of the 4-week coaching program that I'm going to be putting on to help people launch their best program yet in the fall. So we're going to spend 4 weeks helping you get that dialed in with weekly live calls, but that's only going to be for waitlist people. So if you need a little bit of help with the front end, with marketing, with saving a bunch of time there, definitely get on that wait list, jump on the webinar at the end of the month, and can see if it's a good fit for you or not. But we got a bunch of coaches on that already, and they're really buying back their time essentially with that stuff. So that's there. And then finally, probably on Friday, we're going to launch it. Definitely look for the Friday emails, because those have all the freebies that we've given out throughout the week or from our friends. But the Friday email, I should have the fall program launch checklist ready for you. It's a little bit more than a checklist, but essentially it's going to lay out the step-by-steps to launching your fall program, because that is really where our head should be right now, is launching that program, so that we can build up our marketing, build up our leads, maybe get some micro commitments between here and the start, and then essentially start enrolling people after Labor Day in the United States. So it's a lot. I know. A lot there. There should be links to everything in the description, so definitely check that out. But that's our goal. Our goal is to help you guys be successful as coaches, and this is just another way that we can do that. We want the stuff that we're providing to be better than any mastermind that you're part of, and you're getting it all really for free. So let's jump into it. Today we are talking about your fall offer. Okay, so we should be thinking about, if you're following that fall marketing calendar at all, we should be thinking about a fall program, right? Something that launches around Labor Day, right? And we've talked about the psychographic of your clients already, but most people, summer is a little bit more free, a little bit more loose. And once September hits, kids are going back to school. Once late August hits, kids are going back to school, and people are starting to crave a little bit more routine, a little bit more structure, and their lives have a little bit more routine and structure to them. And so now I have maybe a little bit more brain space to take on something for myself. And so this is the perfect time to be launching something, but we're really just launching it. Then we're kind of warming everything up through the month of August. And so really we look at this in like three parts. It's like, why do most fall offers flop? And then kind of offer types that work in the fall. We'll talk through that stuff. And then we'll kind of finish up with some pricing and then look at some conversion, that kind of stuff. So that's my goal for today is to work through that stuff. If you do have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. Sometimes I can see them on Facebook. Sometimes I can't. YouTube, they definitely always pop up, and the same thing on Riverside. So depending on where you're watching and listening from, just open that thing up and we should be good to go. So let's get to it. All right. Why do most fall offers flop? Okay. Here's the reason. Not enough preparation, right? We wake up September 1 and we decide to run a program, and we just throw it out to our list and we see what happens, right? That's fine for testing, right? If we want to test something, just put it out there. But if we want something to really hit, we need to spend a good month kind of leading up to it and nurturing our list and building our list and growing our list. And so that we have an offer with like some actual strategy behind it, and not just like, hey, I want to run something, or hey, I need some clients right now, so I'm gonna put it out there. Like, we want some structure around this stuff rather than this feast and famine that we see a lot of coaches going with. Some interesting psychographic things about the fall is like the people that join in the fall are a little bit different than people that join in January. People that join in January are kind of a little bit of that like quick fix. I'm highly motivated right now, right? And we see a lot of drop off. Like the data supports a lot of that. The fall is a little bit different, right? Because the fall is it's less of like the quick fix crowd, and there are people that are craving a little bit more like structure, a little more rhythm, and maybe they were in a nice routine, and then this summer kicked everything out, because that's a lot of times summer. Potentially kids are home, more freedom, more vacations, more barbecues, more adult beverages, all that kind of stuff, right? And so we need a little bit of structure. We feel like we're in a little bit of a free fall, right? So our fall buyers tend to be a little bit more intentional maybe than the New Year's crowd. And so if we're meeting them with a real solution, not necessarily just another theme to challenge, but a real solution, they're going to be ready, right? And that's our goal is we can't predict when people are going to be ready. We just want to be in their world when they are ready. And this comes back to, I think I'm kind of like, feel like I'm beating this over and over again, but it is really that important, is understanding who your people are and what they want. Okay. If we don't understand who we serve, right, and what their problems are and what their need and what their needs are and what their aspirations are, like, we're not going to be successful. Right. And so we might have a few hits here and there, but we're not going to really build a business, especially if we want to build a business in the virtual, the online world. So we have to get specific, and we have to really understand our people at a deep, deep level. What are they problem aware of right now? What are they struggling with right now? What are their aspirations? Like, what do they wish they could do, but something is limiting them from doing that, right? What are the emotional responses? What are they thinking about? We need to be in their head, right? And if we're not there yet, then we just need to do a little bit more research, right? We need to talk to people. We need to have some more conversations. We need to listen, because people will tell you. And so the fall can be a great time to be able to launch that to your audience, right? So, all right, what kind of offers work here in the fall? So I think you should be running some. So really, there's two ways to go about this, right? The first way is your flagship program. If you have a flagship program, your signature program, whatever, this is a great time to launch it, right? Because more of the stars are going to align during this time, and so we can get people into our signature program. I would say that works pretty well if we have a pretty responsive list or a fairly big list, and they already know and like us, or they trust us, and moving them into a full-blown program is pretty easy, right? Because they already like you and they already trust you. Cool. It's easy to buy from you. But maybe you have a list that isn't quite as trusting, right? Then we might need kind of a 2-part series. Maybe we need to launch something a little bit smaller, right? Like a 7-day something that leads into a bigger program. That is another way to go about it, is we go kind of micro commitment, maybe a 7-day, maybe a reset or something like that, into a full-blown program. Or we could do something like a quiz, right? Into a full-blown program. And so there's a few different ways to do this. And this is so just, it depends, right? And so understanding your business would help a little bit, but these are typically the 2 routes that we go. So to give you an example, for at my facilities, right, we're going to run like a 4-week reset. That's what our crowd is really looking for. They're really looking to get back on track. We don't need the full-blown 8-week transformation at this point. We're going to run a reset. We have a lot of trust with our audience, and so we'll have a lot of people signing up for it. And then we'll most likely be running something a little bit longer on the back end of more of a nutrition coaching program. But that reset can be really helpful in helping clients get back on track. And because we have an audience, it's a little bit easier to kind of sell into something a little bit longer that trusts us. So part of it's knowing your audience as well. But there's 2 things, right? Straight into your signature program, or can you do a micro commitment, short-term program, 7-day, 14-day into your signature program that way? Okay. And if you do have a great lead magnet, right, that attracts your ideal clients, we should be hammering that for the month of August. Right, we should be hammering that for the month of August, and then we should have a little follow-up sequence on that lead magnet, right, that potentially invites people into this program as it gets closer, or gives people a discount on a wait list or something like that. We want to try to start building up a little bit of anticipation for this event. So you'll notice here, like, all right, this is no joke, we're no lie. Like, this if you've been following us. So we have a pretty big launch for SuperCoach CRM coming towards the end of July, right? This isn't a secret. We're not trying to be secretive about it. And you've noticed that we've created a wait list for the SuperCoach CRM launch, right? And we're giving special things to the wait list, right? We're giving early access to a webinar so they can be the first ones to buy if it's something that resonates with them, and if it's something that's going to help them run their businesses better. And we know that this is something that helps coaches run their businesses better, because there's 2 pieces to every coaching business. There's attraction, and then there's a delivery system, right? I need to attract people, so that's marketing, funnels, text, email, all that stuff. And then I need to deliver on my promises. That's Coach Catalyst, right? So we know that this is a problem for coaches. It's the reason we created it. And this isn't meant to be a pitch for SuperCoach CRM, but you can kind of use this as a model for what you're doing, right? So we're building this wait list, and there's cool things that are going out to the wait list. They're going to get early access. They're going to get, if they decide to jump in, they're going to get a 4-week essentially coaching program that I'm going to do for 4 weeks, where we do a weekly call. They're also going to get a spot, is really what it is, because there are limited spots. It takes a lot to onboard people, so we can't bring on 100 people. We can only bring on a small amount, and that may be the same for your coaching program, right? Maybe you can't take on 50 people. Maybe you can only take on 10. So there's some exclusivity there, and then the wait lists are the people that get first access to those spots, right? And so that could be something that you can be doing during the month of August to help build anticipation, right, for that. So those are kind of the 2 ways that I would go about it. If there's other lead magnets that you have, I would definitely be getting them out there. Maybe they're quizzes, if they're a guide, or anything that solves a micro problem for your ideal client, for your perfect client, right? Solve those micro problems through the month of August, and then either invite directly into your flagship program, launch into your flagship program, or go micro commitment into coaching. And so if you do a group coaching program, typically running into the flagship works really well. If you're more one-to-one, sometimes a 7-day or 14-day kind of micro commitment and then into a one-to-one coaching program can work a little bit better that way. You can go either way. So now let's talk a little bit about pricing. This question comes up all the time, where people, what should I charge? What should I charge? What should I charge? What should I charge? And the answer is as much as people will pay. So from our standpoint, we see coaches charging $100, $150, and we see coaches charging $1,000 a month, right? And so the range is massive, right? And it all depends on a few things. Who are you serving, right? Are you serving someone with more disposable income and not? Like if you're serving, let's say, executives, right? They probably have a little bit more disposable income than someone else, right? And so understanding your market is a big piece of it, right? I think looking at what other things people are buying, right, probably makes sense as well. But then also it's like how big is the problem that you're solving, right? How complicated is the problem that you're solving, right? How painful is the problem that you're solving? So if we increase any of those, bigger problem, more complex, more painful, we can charge more, right? And the more specific we are in solving the problem, we can charge more as well. So to just give you a quick example, a weight loss program will probably only command so much. A weight loss program for menopause will command a lot more because it's much more specific and it's solving a specific problem for a specific person. And that problem is probably bigger, right? And so if we can really dial that in, we can charge more. But for the vast majority of like core programs, you're probably going to be in the 250 to 550 range, depending on the time frame of the program and depending on your skill level. How confident are you that you can get people results, right? If you're not confident yet in results, start at the lower end, get some great results, get some testimonials, and then just start ratcheting up the cost of the program. Ratchet it up, ratchet it up, ratchet it up, right? Until you find more people are saying no. Okay. And so a good kind of percentage is if you're if 60% or more of people are saying yes on a sales call, then your prices are probably too low. Okay. If you're around that 60% mark, right? You're signing up 6 out of 10 people that you have on a call, right? You're probably pretty close. If you're signing up 8 out of 10 people on a call, then you're probably a little bit too expensive, or sorry, too low. If you're signing up less than 6 out of 10 people, I would look at where you stand in the market. And if you are at kind of market value where other people are charging, then you have an opportunity to work on your sales skills and work on really articulating how you can benefit. It's not even necessarily sales skills. It's just like articulating how you can help someone. Right. And so some things to think about there. If you're doing like a little micro commitment, keep it micro. $9, $19, $29, right? Really simple, no brainer type of no type of offer, um, but it's real value, right? We need the client to actually invest a little bit, so they're invested in the process, which then allows us to coach them, right? Because if someone buys and doesn't actually participate, the likelihood of me moving them into a bigger program is zero, right? So we need them to invest something to show up, and then that gives you the opportunity as a coach to display your value, show that you can help them, show that you can take them to the promised land, right? And then they'll be good to go. And so we want to anchor that value that we have in outcomes, not necessarily features. This is a mistake a lot of coaches make. We start talking about all these things that makes up our program, right? We have daily check-ins, we have education, we have weekly weigh-ins, whatever those features are of your program. No one cares, right? If they could sit on their couch and watch Netflix and eat ice cream and get the result they wanted, they would probably do that because it's easier. Right. And so we have to talk about outcomes. We have to paint the picture of the future. We have to, like the classic example of airlines don't talk about flying in a metal germ-filled tube. They talk about sitting on the beach and sipping a cocktail and relaxing and enjoying that. Right. The travel is a necessary evil to get to the destination. Making better nutritional choices, showing up to the gym, maybe sweating a little bit, moving more. These are necessary evils to a more robust body, a healthier mind, a healthier body, weight loss, all these things the clients are talking about. And so we don't want to talk about that. That is your special sauce. That's your method that you get people outcomes. So when we're talking about it, just look at your copy and make sure that is outcome based and not necessarily feature based. Okay. And then I like personally to have a couple different deadlines where we have maybe an early bird deadline where you could build a wait list to go to your early bird, right? And the early bird maybe get some extra bonuses. I don't like discounting. I don't think we should discount at all. I think we should value add. So how do you add more value into your program so that I want to buy early so I get the bonuses rather than waiting till the end? because the vast majority of people purchase either right away or at the end, and then there'll be a couple in the middle. But those are the two main periods, because the end, you have the urgency of buy now or it's gone, right? But at the beginning, we want a little bit of urgency around, hey, buy now so you get these extra bonuses. Those are going to be people that are action takers, that are really bought in, and then those are going to be great people to help move into our next program after that. So I think I'll talk about this a little bit more next week, just so that that we can talk through. But conversion is also something, right? How do we convert people? Because maybe we run the back to school program, which we have at Coach Catalyst, which is one we recommend for this time of year. It's really based in this like routine structure, back to the basics, that kind of thing. So back to school, and there's also back to the basics. They're pretty much the same thing. Just one is themed back to school, and so. So we have a second part to that we're developing as well. So it's an 8-week program, and then we're going to create another 8 weeks. So it's 16 weeks. And so we want to then be moving people into that next program, right? Vast majority of people like is going to take longer than just 8 weeks to accomplish their goal, unless they want to lose, 5 or 10 pounds. Great. We can do that in a short time frame. But if we're looking for kind of these real transformations, right, it takes time. And so being able to move people into that next program, but also if we're running that little micro commitment, right, that small program, 7-day, 14-day at the beginning, right, we want to be moving them into the next program fairly quickly. So some of the best times to do this are not waiting till the end. It's actually in the middle. Okay. And so we want the client to have seen some results and feel like this is working. And then we want to incentivize them to join the next one to keep the momentum going. Right. And so we want these kind of like commitments throughout. And so waiting till the end, till it's all over to talk about the next thing is an issue, right? Because it's just too quick. We want to actually be seeding our next program. Let's say if it's an 8-week program, in weeks 5, week 6, week 7, week 8, and really simple things like in our next program, we teach, hey, we're working on this one right now, and if this feels really easy for you, that's awesome. I want you to practice it and get awesome at it, or get great at it. Because in our next program, our phase 2 to this program, we're actually going to go in a lot deeper in this one. I think you're really going to be challenged by that, right? And so we can start seeding, kind of future casting that next program, and then inviting people into it, right? You've had a ton of success with this one. I think you would be a great fit for our next program. That's going to help keep this momentum going, right? So. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how we look at this stuff. So just to review here a little bit, like we need to have something launching in the fall. If we haven't decided on that, let's get that decided on right now. Then let's decide on our structure, right? Are we going to just be selling our core offer, our signature program, or do we need a little micro commitment first, that can then feed into it, right? We have to decide on that. If you don't want to build all this stuff from scratch, that's why we created Coach Catalyst. That's why we created SuperCoach CRM, just to make it really, really easy. And then next week, we're going to talk a little bit about like how to automate the fall funnel without losing some of that personal touch. So we'll start looking at some of these X's and O's to just make sure that we're moving people through that funnel. And I read something from Mike Milner, who's a super, super smart dude, actually earlier this morning. And he talked about like coaches say they don't need a funnel. But everyone has a funnel, right? It's just what we call the buyer's journey, which was a really great, elegant way to phrase it, because everyone has a funnel. It's just some people's funnels are really random, right? And there's no structure, and they wonder why their lead flow and that kind of stuff is inconsistent, right? And so really what we're trying to do is set up this buyer's journey, so that we can keep leads flowing throughout. Email marketing, our landing pages, right? Taking people through these funnels is part of that buyer's journey. And so really starting to structure that stuff and have the systems in place to be able to do it. So if you want some help with that, definitely jump on the SuperCoach CRM waitlist, because there are lots of goodies for our waitlist people. And there's no obligation to buy anything. You're just there. You get first dibs. You get first eyes at it. And if it makes sense for you, awesome. We'd love to help. So in the meantime, if there are any questions, if there's anything that I can help with, definitely drop it in the comments. Facebook does a terrible job of showing me comments here. So if you did comment on Facebook, I apologize. I cannot see it. And let me check anywhere else. I don't see any other comments. So that's it. That's all we got. Now it's July. It's time to build. It's time to prep. Let's not wait until the end of August to start launching something, because the fall can be one of the best times to really start building your business. So Again, my name is Trevor. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you learned something today. See you later.